On the amendment, the honourable member for Edmonton Centre.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to rise and speak to this amendment to Bill 19, my first opportunity to rise in this legislative session, to welcome everybody back. I'm glad we get to start with some good debate on what I think is an important piece of legislation, of course. As the representative for Edmonton Centre, I have three major post-secondary institutions here within my constituency, those being Grant MacEwan University, Norquest College, and of course, University of Alberta at Enterprise Square. And should I have the honour in the election next year to continue to represent the residents of Edmonton City Centre, that will also then include Nate. So I have the opportunity to speak with many students, Madam Speaker, and indeed with faculty, and indeed with the presidents of those institutions. And certainly this has been a topic of conversation over the last 2 years. Now, the concern that's being brought forward, under which the member justified bringing forward this amendment, was around the question of consultation. So he is concerned that not enough thought has been given to this bill, that therefore it is imperative that we sit down and study this further at committee to ensure that all voices are being heard and all possibilities are being considered. Now, I find this a bit ironic, or perhaps even approaching the hypocritical, Madam Speaker, given that recently the honourable leader of the loyal opposition stood in front of the Calgary Chamber of Commerce and stated that, should he have the privilege of becoming the Premier of Alberta, and should they have the privilege of becoming the government of Alberta, their intent would be to eschew consultation. He said he did not want to get bogged down in consultation. He wanted to move quickly so that nobody could get a word in edgewise, so that nobody could oppose any opposition. And he said, Madam Speaker, that he would have the right and the mandate to do this because he has been going around the province of Alberta and speaking with all the people that he thinks are important to listen to on making these decisions. And now, Madam Speaker, their House leader stands here today and tells us that we should slow down because we have not talked to enough people and we have not done enough consultation on making these kinds of changes.
Interesting.
Nowhere near the impact of the kinds of changes that the leader of the official opposition has been talking about making. Now, let's talk for a moment, Madam Speaker, about the consultation that has gone into this bill. This has been in process since 2016, Madam Speaker. All Albertans have been well aware of this, and indeed members of the opposition have stood in this House and often asked questions about how this process was going. How were those consultations moving along? Why was the minister not coming forward with a decision and a plan sooner? We took that time, Madam Speaker, because we wanted to ensure the proper consultations were held. Madam Speaker, there is not a single educational institution in this province that did not have the opportunity to provide their input on this bill. The Minister of Advanced Education spoke to the head of every single educational, post-secondary educational institution in this province. He spoke to every single student group. He spoke with the faculty at these institutions. We consulted Albertans in general, an online survey, online process, to which we received over 4,000 responses. He consulted also with the non-faculty staff at post-secondary institutions. This was a process of speaking and hearing from everyone, Madam Speaker. I dare say that the minister got pretty much every view on this issue that could be had in a process that lasted 2 years. And what has come out of that, Madam Speaker, is the bill that we have in front of us. A bill which when it was announced yesterday, every single student leader that was there spoke out and thanked the government for bringing this forward. And frankly, Madam Speaker, I'm troubled by, I don't know any other word to use, but the condescension towards students from the members opposite. That they don't know what's good for them. That they could not possibly understand what they are dealing with here. Madam Speaker, this is not the same world in which many of the members opposite had the opportunity to get their education, where their education was much more heavily subsidized than that of students today. Whereas the member from Calgary Mountain View noted, they were able to earn in 4 months enough to pay for an entire year. An absolute impossibility for the majority of students today. It is a different reality. And to say to those students, you don't understand what you're dealing with. You need to build better character. You need to learn more about how to earn what you think you deserve. You need to work harder, perhaps in parentheses, like I did. Madam Speaker, I cannot agree with this amendment. I know the consultation process. I have sat down every single year, at least twice a year, with the leaders of student organizations in the province and heard what they have been asking our government for. And Madam Speaker, this bill is exactly that. And I know that members opposite have sat down with those students too, because they have happily retweeted the photos of those consultations. They've put them up on Facebook. They've spoken with pride of how they sat down and listened to student leaders. But they will not stand here today and support what those student leaders have asked for. Those student leaders, Madam Speaker, who are incredibly hardworking, who understand the modern economic environment, who know that they are not going into the same sort of work situations that so many of the members opposite were able to enjoy during their careers. The ground has shifted. These students know that they are looking at a future often of increased contract work, less benefits, less guaranteed employment, having to shift careers multiple times. And on top of that, members opposite want to tell them they should pay more. Frankly, Madam Speaker, maintaining affordable education is one of the least things we can do to help young people in the modern world be able to get off to a good start. I cannot think of a better investment that the government can make than to ensure that all students in our province can afford a post-secondary education. Not only for the benefit and the quality, improvement in quality of life that it will have for those students, but for the economic benefits, therefore, that we receive as a province. When people who are better educated are able to go on to better careers, are able to fill the jobs we need, are frankly, Madam Speaker, able to create the jobs we need. I'm incredibly proud to have many organizations here within my constituency, like Startup Edmonton, Tech Edmonton, others, where the future entrepreneurs of this province, the people who are building the new economy, frankly, that is going to help carry us into the future, with the eventual waning of the energy industry. I wouldn't predict when that's going to happen, but we know it will. And frankly, these are the people that are building the new jobs, the new industries, the new companies that are going to carry us there and help us prosper as a province. And frankly, Madam Speaker, these are people who are students. They are going to school, they are working on their education, and at the same time, they are working hard to build new ideas, to take research that they're doing, develop that into new products, techniques, services that are putting our city on the map. Our investment in their education is an investment in that economic benefit for our province. So when those students come and they say to us, this is the support we need from our government, Madam Speaker, I'm going to listen. Just like we listened to all of the presidents of all of the educational institutions in the province and heard their thoughts and concerns. Just like the minister went and listened to all of the staff, the faculty, everybody involved in the post-secondary education system. So this bill may not give everybody within that what they wanted, Madam Speaker. But I think all involved in this process would agree that this is a reasonable balance and compromise. Post-secondary institutions are happy with the flexibility that they're being afforded within this bill. Again, returning to the question of consultation, members have raised their concerns about maintaining the quality of education. Madam Speaker, as has been noted by the minister, if an institution feels that the quality of a course or a program is being compromised, they can sit down with the students, they can have that conversation, they can have consultation. Because I don't think they'll take the view that such a process is being bogged down. They can sit down with the students, they can have that conversation, they can talk about the value that students would receive, and if they can make a good case for it and students are willing to support it, they can bring that to the minister and the minister can approve it. How much more democratic of a process could you ask for, Madam Speaker? Far more democratic than the proposal of the Leader of the Official Opposition, should he have the privilege of taking government next year. So, Madam Speaker, I cannot support this amendment. The minister has consulted, he has spoken, we have heard. We have the example of other jurisdictions across Canada that have had tuition caps in place. And frankly, it is high time, Madam Speaker, that we provide some certainty to students in this province, to educational institutions, and move forward with a fair and balanced plan that is going to ensure we have an educated generation to continue to move this province forward. Thank you.
Questions or comments under Standing Order 29-2A? Seeing none.